Well, back in what seems an awful long time ago, in 2019 at BTME in Harrogate, one of the highlights of Harrogate was the launch of the FairWays Foundation, which had been the brainchild of Matt Foster, the CEO of Aquatrols. And the goal of the foundation was to offer grant aid to projects that were environmentally secure, environmentally positive. And an awful lot's happened since 2019 January, but the great thing is that the first tranche of successful applications, grant aid, has now been achieved. So congratulations! I'm joined on the phone, in the video, by Louise, Amos, who's the project manager for the FairWays Foundation, and Matthew himself. So congratulations, first of all, on a successful arrival of the first set of funding, which I believe is over $100,000, which is not to be sneezed at.
Absolutely, thank you, Scott. No, it feels great. Yes, it is. It's over $100,000 for our first disbursement. So yeah, very pleased. Very pleased.
Well, the first tranche of applications have now been successful, and from our side of the pond, there's been 2 applications that have received funding from the UK. Louise, I wonder if you could just give us a little bit more information about these 2 successful applications.
Of course, yes. So one of them is Hertford Golf Course, which is in Manchester, and that's for grassland restoration. So that's regenerating an area of arable land into semi-natural grassland. So that's sort of supporting a really important habitat there. And then we've got the Irvine to Girvan Nectar Network, which is in conjunction with the Scottish Wildlife Trust. And hopefully, I would have thought many people in the UK would have heard of this sort of movement. And this is basically aiming to establish sort of flower-rich habitats along the Ayrshire coastline, and just support a diverse sort of range of pollinating insects. And the small blue butterfly, which was at one point wiped out, and then this movement, I think it's been going for over 10 years now. They've sort of reinstated that, so a really important project to support.
And what was it about these 2 projects that persuaded the FairWays Foundation to offer assistance?
So we went through, we sort of review it as a board, and we go through every project in detail. We have a grant committee as well that sort of go through them first and give a recommendation. And it was just felt that we had a really good cross section of projects to support, and these 2 really stuck out as being ones that we felt were in line with our sort of, I suppose, priorities as a foundation, and the sorts of things that we wanted to support.
Now, from those 2 and others, how much work is it involved in an applicant to put whatever you require to see in front of you? Is it quite a elongated process, or is it tried to be kept as simple as possible?
No, so certainly in this first year, we really did want to keep that process quite simple. So the application, was not massively extensive. We obviously ask for the main things that their project will achieve. We ask for details on the budget, and we ask for the outcomes that they want to see from that, and how it will support the environment and the community at large. So in terms of sort of the detail, I mean, it would take someone a bit of time to pull that together, but it was certainly something that, in terms of the applications we got, it was course managers kind of having that time to put aside. It wasn't so detailed that you needed assistance and to apply for the grant, which in some cases it can go into quite a lot of detail for these sorts of things. So it was something people were able to come up with themselves and provide the supporting kind of documentation to get it through to us, really.
Mm-hmm. Now, Matthew, it's a wonderful start to the foundation. You've moved on markedly from that January meeting in the George Hotel in Harrogate. It's difficult times. We all know it's difficult times at the moment. But are you confident that the success of the initial tranche is going to be maintained going forward?
Yes, absolutely. You were asking about the qualification and how they get chosen, and when I think about, we really have 3 primary pillars that the foundation is looking at for consideration when we look at the grants, and it's conservation, stewardship, and education. And those that can satisfy more than one pillar are even more likely for us to want to fund. And that was the case in both of these examples here in the UK. So super excited for them. I think the most important thing for us to get out, the message that we want to get out going forward, and I'm glad you asked about the application process, is because this isn't a contest. So the applicants don't have to beat other courses necessarily or other organizations in order to get funding. All it has to do is be, is qualified for a sound project. And I think when you look at even over here in the environmental awards for the GCSAA, and courses are wanting to get recognized, that's a very heady process, and they're competing against each other to try to win first place. In this particular instance, you don't have to win first place. Just apply. If it's a good project and we have enough resources, then we're probably going to fund it. And so yeah, we're very confident that we're gonna increase the amount of distribution next year.
Do the applicants have a figure in mind when they come to the foundation, or do they just give you the project and you decide amongst the board what you see as the value of that project?
No, there's a place in the application process that and when they go to the site to apply, we define what the parameters are. So they'll have that the detail will be required. How much do they need? We have a max request this year was $25,000. That number, I would expect that number to increase, over time. But right now it's 25,000. For nonprofits, we do allow for a portion of that to be for administration, which is also a big deal. Mostly, as long as the project is not deemed or would not be deemed a capital improvement for the operation, then we can help resource it. That is the primary constraint. So if it ends up being an asset of the operation, then that's not something that we can fund. But if it's in these particular cases, you can see whether it's an operation putting in a bioswale or they're wanting to do some restoration. Well, that doesn't really increase the value on the balance sheet. And as long as that's the case, then we're in pretty good shape.
And having generously donated or given the money, do you then follow up to make sure that you've had a bang for your buck?
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, and that's such a big deal. Anybody who's been involved with any sort of, especially like restoration projects, is boy, that's not just a one-time deal. At the research farm here in New Jersey, a couple of years ago, we put in some buffer strips for pollinators and to increase biodiversity as well. And it was a fairly robust project. And I like to joke that, on a 10-acre farm, that was the most robust project that we did. And I know this isn't easy. Grassland restoration isn't easy. Wetland restoration isn't easy. You want to find out, so you want to make sure that if you are going to commit to something, that you're also committing resources to an organization that is committed to maintaining that restoration. It would be, unfortunately, it's quite easy to just throw some money at a project one year and then have your efforts evaporate, the following year.
Sustainability in all its forms, really.
No question.
I know it'll probably end up making your job, maybe Louise's job, more difficult, but do you want more applicants coming forward? Do you have more work to do, more decisions to make? And how do people apply? We can obviously put a link up to, and when is the period for application for the next lot going through? Right,
so of course, we want more work, and we'll be happy to secure more help for the foundation and the board as well. But no, it's great. So we're definitely looking forward to more applicants. This past year, we had a window, I believe it was April through May. We originally, back when BTME and GIS were being attended in person, We communicated to everybody at that point that it was going to be a 30-day window in April, but as because of COVID, we extended that window through the end of May. We will communicate broadly through our various social media platforms, et cetera, on when that window will be open again. The application window will be open. I can say it's if we're still in any sort of lockdown scenarios and so forth, we'll probably be looking at an April-May window again. Ideally, we'd like to get it to a 30-day window because it does kind of help us control everything a little bit better, and it's a little bit easier to manage the information. But we'll probably be looking at an April-May window again in 2021.
Well, that'd be a wonderful opportunity for many projects that maybe haven't been funded to the same extent as people would have liked them. Because I would imagine it's this sort of project that will be set to one side when clubs have got revenue generation issues going forward. So the fact that you guys are there and the fact that, Matt, you had the foresight to set up the foundation, you must be congratulated upon all that.
When I look at some of these projects, and this is what's great about it, whether it's in the UK, the grassland restoration, or I see the fairway daylight or the stream daylighting at Hillcrest. These are all projects that frequently are the brainchild of not the Greens Committee, but the greenkeeper or the superintendent. And as a former greenkeeper, one of the reasons that was a huge driver and motivator in wanting to start the foundation was frequently a for-profit operation is not looking for things to spend money on. And when the superintendent or the greenkeeper is looking for resources and wants to do something that they know could have a positive impact on the environment that they're managing. They don't, again, like we say, we don't have to change the world, just our world. So the part that they're managing, and they go to management or the GM, a lot of times those resources aren't available. They're available through the FairWays Foundation. And that is the point of doing all this. We want to support their efforts. Frequently, there's some great, well-intentioned managers out there that just don't have the resources, and we want to be there for them.
Now, we're delighted that 2 of the projects are here in the UK, but 5 of them are on the other side of the pond, the other side of the Atlantic. Could you just give us a little bit of an outline as to the other 5 projects that have achieved funding?
Yes, so we have Buttonhole, which is that's around invasive species management in sort of native and wetland areas, and that will be to basically looking to manage Japanese knotweed. We have Mohonk, which is it's an education program for middle school children, and that's in New York State, and that essentially takes children out into nature, which is something that, education being one of our pillars was a very strong sort of candidate for us. And then we have Hillcrest, which are looking to do a fairway stream improvement. And this is where there's some piping which has been damaged over time. And the goal is to sort of restore that into its original state and improve that tributary. And then we have Jack Creek riparian enhancement. So this one is in Gold Beach. And this is in terms of, so this is enhancing sort of 25 acres of riparian reserve on the Salmon Run golf course. And then we have Cog Hill, which is a bioswale. So this is a wash pad, which is essentially going to take that sort of wastewater and support their full course facility and use that water, correctly from having washed off their machinery.
We must wish you well for the future going forward with it. We here at Turf Matters are there to help. If there's anything we can do to help you guys, you know where to find us. So thank you very much both.